Robert Downey Jr. is one of the biggest movie stars of the 21st century. He's the third highest grossing actor of all time, beating the likes of Tom Cruise, Vin Diesel. He has played parts like a constantly angry middle-aged man, to a troubled lawyer, to a black guy, and well, he's the highest paid actor. He has won an Oscar. He has a beautiful family and he is loved by all. But his life at one point was burdened by his own actions for too long. This is the story of the lowest point of Robert Downey Jr. Born to a filmmaker, he was introduced to drugs at a really early age, the age of 8, when most kids were learning mathematics and how to spell certain words. He was addicted to drugs. Very soon in his life, he got into acting and starred in a bunch of side roles till he got his shot as the main lead in Tough Turf. The film was a critical and box office failure. That led to Downey getting back in side roles for a few more films. Sometime later, he got casted in a film called Less Than Zero. That film would be foreshadowing Downey's life moving forward. The film follows a man coming back to his hometown only to find that his former best friend, played by RDJ, has an out-of-control drug habit. Downey's performance was lauded and he got a bunch of film offers through this film. But Downey himself looks at the film with some bitterness. The role was like the ghost of Christmas future, he said, since his drug habit resulted in his becoming an exaggeration of the character in real life. That was also the first time he went into rehab, and he kept coming in and out of it till 1996. In 1996, his friends Sean Penn and Dennis Quaid, getting concerned over Downey's drug abuse, decided to check him into a rehab. But rehab wasn't working for Downey. He soon escaped out of rehab. In June 1996, Downey was arrested for possession of heroin, cocaine, crack, and an unloaded .357 Magnum handgun while he was speeding down Sunset Boulevard. That's where the dominoes began to fall. That's where his downfall started. Downey soon got parole. A month later, while on parole, he wandered into a neighbor's home through the unlocked front door while under the influence of a controlled substance and fell asleep in one of the beds. He soon began going in and out of jail during that period. He was getting extremely difficult to work with as well. Woody Allen wanted Downey to star in one of his films but couldn't, as he could not be insured. In 1999, Downey even got clean for a while, but financial and emotional issues pulled him back in. It seemed as if there was no hope left. Prison wasn't the main reason that Downey got clean, but it did give him a new perspective on life. During his time in prison, he had a bunch of different experiences. Some of those are as follows. Downey recalls that the time he spent in prison wasn't terrible, not good, but not terrible either, especially county jail. For the first 12 days of his sentence, he was kept in a psych ward. The judge wanted to keep him away from the rest of the inmates due to his celebrity status. The psych ward is both worse and better than prison. The food and services there are infinitely better, of course. But unlike in prison, you don't have to earn your shoelaces and belts by going through treatments. Downey said that the windows there don't have any bars on them, but instead they have chicken wiring on them. He was sure that if they were to put regular bars on them, then someone crazy would definitely squeeze out of them. He said he remembers those first 12 days in great detail because you never forget your firsts. It was highly isolating and lonely and alien for him, All he had for him was his mattress, that's it. And through his door glass, he could see a constantly running television. On that television, we would see a show called Court Cam. The show was about everything that goes wrong in courts. He said that he was impressed and entertained by the show. Downey also recalls his encounter with an old John Barrymore looking man. I saw this one dude. I just saw his face, and he was this old bearded dude, and he looked like John Barrymore. He was crazy, and he was shit talking the correctional officers all day long, just like motherfucking them. And you were a mental midget, and blah blah blah. I found it very entertaining because he was kind of witty. And then one day they said, "God damn it, that's enough." And they popped open the door, and he had one leg, and he wasn't wearing prosthetic. He was amputated from the knee down on the other leg. And I thought, this motherfucker has been standing on one leg all day just so he can talk shit to all these cops. And I was like, respect. After those 12 days in prison, Downey fell victim to his own personality again. He pissed off the judge that could set him free and ended up spending another 4 months and 19 days in prison. Downey remembers those 4 months as the most disgusting of his life. He was yet to be designated, which basically means he was yet to be assigned a prison. The problem was that everyone around him there were yet to be designated too. He was in a place that was filled with petty criminals, child molesters, white-collar criminals, and serial killers. He was locked in a place with all the scum of the planet. He couldn't handle the smell, the energy, the lack of time outside. In one interview, he even said he could feel the evil in the air. It was very unfiltered. Some people knew they were going away for life, and they had become more fearless. They had nothing to lose. That made them more dangerous. At one point, a Japanese guy interacted with him. At one point, the Japanese guy asked me to come and hold hands with him and pray. And I was like, and I looked around and I was like, I could take this guy. I went over, took his hands, and he was like, "Oh dearly Father." And I was like, fuck. And he goes, "What brings you here?" And I was like, "Parole violation." I go, "And you?" He goes, "I killed my wife." And I was like, motherfucker. In his cell, he would put a sheet over the naughty white blankets given to him in order to lock in the heat. He even recalls Freeway Freddy's. They were the mices and cockroaches that would roam around his cell. In prison, if a guard catches a mouse, then he would call the maintenance and get rid of all the pests. The mice had become very aware of this thing and had started to run away as soon as they heard the boots of the guards. Amongst these nightmarish cockroaches and mice, he had become comfortable with the fact that he's in a hibernative state. The less hours of the day he was awake, the better. But he couldn't sleep all day and be awake all night either. That was depressive. He would get up, get his morning chores done. He tried to entertain himself in one way or another, and then fill the rest of the hours with sleep. During this time, Sting's new album, Brand New Day, came out. He got it on CD. Through the canteen, he had also smuggled a CD player for himself. He would listen to this album in his cell, and he would be able to dissect every single note in the songs. He would listen to that album with these really attentive ears. That album soon became his favorite Sting album. He would also end up spending a lot of time in lockdown module. This is basically what you get when you misbehave with the guards. He understood that he didn't want to be in that hole and would want to go into the day room as much as possible. Downey was assigned a cell during that time, which he would share with another inmate. The doors would be locked for 7 hours during the night. He realized that he'll never be safer than that time unless his cellmate was crazy. During that time, he finally got the realization. I remember it like it was yesterday. I was like, this is a realization I didn't need to have. You dumb fucker. What have you done? And I was like, don't worry about that. Let's just get through this. Downey knew he would be a pretty huge target in jail due to his celebrity status, and he was smarter than the system. The prison had a very small television for the inmates. It was difficult to see the show Cops and Court Cam on that. So he donated a lot of large televisions before his arrival. That got him on good terms with everyone. He wasn't a target anymore. During this time, he would also be attending the substance abuse treatment facility. It was a rehabilitation center in prison. He had another realization during that time. Don't get in trouble to the point where you have a suspended sentence, particularly if you have no way of really knowing how to stop the behaviors that got you there to begin with. In this time, Downey ended up making a friend. He was a guy who had spent a really long time in prison. Then he got out, but he ended up facing a 3-strike case and was gonna be sent away for life. But Downey, with some other people, rallied around him and gave him a lot of support. They even pleaded to the judge to let him off the life sentence, and they succeeded in that. But that friend was unfortunately not able to correct his behavior, and as a result, he was not able to get out. But Downey mentioned how strong-willed his friend was. He could take multiple lashes and still not change his mindset. He couldn't take the universe's message. He applied that character trait of that strength in the wrong place and ended up spending his life in prison. Through all of this, Downey would say he didn't change a lot. But I do think if prison didn't happen, he wouldn't have been the star he is today. His strength and will to change is truly something everyone should look up to. I can't wait to see what he has in store for us in the future. Do you think that Robert Downey Jr. would be who he is today without prison? Do you think that Robert Downey Jr. had it easier than a lot of the other inmates? Let me know your thoughts. Thanks, and see you in the next one.